Ukraine, which is unusual. I usually put them at take care of international things. Right now, President Xi and President Biden are having their conversation. We shall see where that goes. The whole one China policy is, not one China. It's we're thinking it's Taiwan. Their behavior means it is one China. Anyone who's Han Chinese, therefore, is China, which is, from a narcissistic perspective, which is also the way the old Greeks were. So it means a regressive of de-evolvement of humanity. But that's, if the Chinese want to do what they want to do inside their own borders, that's who they are. But outside of their borders, they have to, and other countries, they need to respect other people's things and ways of doing so. And they would say the same thing about us. You go into China, you have to go by their laws. But when they're doing things such as in Kenya and other countries, to getting people to say, well, you have to go by our laws, this is the whole thing where they're going to create a duopoly within the world. Good going, Nixon. Good job. That whole modern model minority thinking, or off Caucasian thinking, which didn't really realize those peasants who came to the United States were trying to get away from exactly what the Chinese are doing right now. So that's why they're models. And plus, you have that, and they still had that that hierarchical thinking of thousands of years. But we're at where we're at. The second thing is, right now Ukraine is heading into mud season. Next fighting season will be winter, but your supply line is going to be extremely short. It's going to be dueling artillery battles. Prepare and practice for spring thaw, or not after mud season, spring. So not many major offenses over the next several months. The fighters in Bakhmut are, they're Trump, Putin, same person, are going to keep slaughtering their soldiers because they do first echelons. They might do some changes up. Prigozhin is definitely maneuvering, as well as Dugin. Be not surprised if Dugin starts whispering into Prigozhin's ears even more so. Putin is on precarious ground. What's his name? Not sure. Shoigu might be a better Russian, but don't think he might have the backbone to take out Prigozhin if necessary. We'll see. And besides the FSB and then Putin's little private army, might still keep him in power. It's the thing about authoritarianism. There's no way out. Survive or die. There is no way out. There's within those kind of regimes. It should be very interesting to see what happens to Xi at the end of his time. But for the moment, everything seems stable-ish, minus their zero COVID thing, which also which makes me wonder, why are they so afraid of COVID? Well, actually, it's because they'll lose a lot more of their own population because they don't really, because of the population density. Just hypothetical. I haven't looked at any numbers to determine that, but it is something that needs to be spoken about. So that is the international situation at present. Sort of the international situation at present. At home, we see something where Republicans are going to go after Manchin next year in West Virginia. Should be very interesting, but that's not my thing. My thing right now is Admiral Stavridis and retired, and Admiral McRaven retired, doing on CONUS and trying to steal. First off, they're doing everything you've seen Stavridis and McRaven do: separation of friends, trying to make sure no one talks to me. That's basically an imprisonment. Okay, so it's a sec def. Either present the fucking warrant, or I will do something about this. myself personally. Because what they're trying to do is cover up the EO that they should, the illegal EO actions that they directed. This is not. This is just an extension of the illegal equal opportunity extension, as we know while I was enlisted, as they were trying to cover up the fact that they are trying to that they turn the military into a and they use their rank and the rules to cover up bigotry. They keep playing you. We're seeing that. First, it was what? Hey, you know what? Why were you attacking an E4? Everyone flipped out and it goes, wait a minute. Why was an admiral attacking an E4? Actually, two admirals because it started in Iceland. Then they started trying to change the narrative again. They keep playing you. Now the Democratic Party believes, well, this is too good. He helped us win. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm not doing this. So present the fucking warrant. Yes, I said I was a DevU. It's on my DD214. They were upset. I don't care. That's on my DD214. You're going to state what I said about blah, blah, blah up in Afghanistan. And I'd even say where I was at. Or you can't say that. Well, that's always nice and fluid. Mainly, it is whatever emotions the Admiralty and Generalty just want to throw out there. And they're using my rights to publicity, even as quote a prisoner. I still own my rights to my publicity, and you say, well, you signed that away. I'm a civilian. I signed it away when I was there, and you'll find some other law or whatever. Okay, that's fine. Well, then I'll start suing the government. Can't sue the United States. Oh, well, we'll find a way around that. Because actually, then I'll sue it as Great Britain and the Commonwealth. That's on the legal point of my actions. See, my mission from the very beginning was to reinstate the Constitution. And the Democrats are so feckless and weak, and what they're doing is playing the black African Americans too busy going, well, that's a colonizer. He's a black guy, but he's a colonizer. Pointing the negative energy towards me or negative thought processes, when in reality they're just doing the same shit that they always do. And black African Americans fall for it every fucking time, keeping themselves poor. As we see with Mr. Jay-Z, Mr. McMahon, and Don Rose, they wanted to play this game. They think they want to play the great game, but they don't want to have but they think they can play it from a safe space. So does Strivitas and McRaven, but they are retired. They're running an illegal. Since you're saying that this guy is not active duty, that means he's a mercenary. And if you say you're doing training, this is definitely not a training exercise. So that means he's a mercenary. That means McRaven and Strivitas are mercenaries for the Carlyle group, to which he sits on the board, and the other, what is it called? Hedge funds and private equity funds. Now, they set up a thing of like, oh, he's sad, something's wrong with him. Yeah, I just watched Black Panther, then I realized, oh, fuck. That's what Her Majesty did. I do the pieces, but they didn't all fit yet. And then what McRaven and Strivitas is trying to constantly been do is to keep me from realizing that to what I realize and know now. Well, John Oliver was saying, yes, the monarchy is mostly ceremonial and all this. Yeah. Okay. Yes. And no. And yes. But we won't go there. but to build a systems of businesses that create wealth both for the families and create back into Great Britain is very appealing. And also gives him cover because it's not being headed by a bunch of Caucasians. A little more empathy, a little more American-ish. Not as long as it's not Southern American. See, these hedge funds and private equity funds, they want to keep the status quo. Black African Americans stay low, keep the prisons filled, $40,000 per year per head, plus capital off of their labor, so another 20, 30,000. That's good money. And all I have to do is keep the laws changed, and keep the laws in place, keep the blacks stupid. Man, extraction of $80,000 to $90,000 per head. Keep that rap music going. Oh yeah. Good job, Jay-Z. Good job, Don. Good job, Mick. You want to play the Game of Thrones. But the problem is, in this game, this is international and this is global. So while you might say the military is trying to suppress my rights of publicity within the United States, or my rights within the United States, I am Great Britain and the Commonwealth. Which also means that I also have rights of my publicity within the European Union, Japan, and Israel, and, much to your chagrin, the Vatican City. Oops. You missed the rest of the globe. I think everything spins around America. That it's only you that matters, not the 2.5 billion other people. And then you would think, well, I'll be colonizer and I'll roll it here and I'll be... No, you'll do the same shit you've always done. Be their little bitch. Out of jealousies, you enter in with fear and jealousies, you will exit within fear and jealousies. And that is the same way that Don was played by a bigot in school when we were getting our masters. Is the same way Don is played again. And it's funny, he's being played by two bigots. Two southern bigots, just like he was played before. So structured in your thinking, you have no idea how to get out. So right now, Stradvitas and McRaven are shifting the goalpost, using the generals because of what was it that Dr. Romney said? Back and forth, because remember we have the four fear positions: freeze, fight, flight, and fawn, and then they just back playing with the cat, playing with the lizard, back and forth. This is the behavior that you would see that gets rid of the best officers. This is the reason why Delta, but I was watching the video, says Delta Force was, what is it, the guy who wrote Black Hawk Down said Delta Force is filled with guys who hate the army, professional soldiers who hate the army. This is why those guys hate the army. Because you see incompetent shits playing this game, and then Xing the guys who are the most competent. Granted, the Army has changed a lot, has grown a lot, and then compared to the Navy, which still plays that, and the Air Force and all the other ones. Air Force not as much because people get in the Air Force, they don't freaking leave. But the the other services, the Coast Guard, especially the Navy, which is set up like the South. And when Borba tried to change things, they killed them. Which lowers combat and effective readiness because it puts incompetent people at the top. effectiveness and readiness. I am not here to do the Democrats' bidding. I am not here to play politics. My only thing is to stop the former president from continually overthrowing. Well, the Constitution is already overthrown by precedent, and the Democrats are so feckless. And they, well, we can just keep drawing this out, and then we can maybe get down to 24. And no, it ends today. It ends within this, before this next Congress, because even if the Democrats do hold on to the House, they'll just be more feckless and weak, because they're bought out by these same hedge funds. They're just as bad at strip mining the American people. Talking about the debt ceiling, it shouldn't be a damn debt ceiling. We shouldn't be paying these oligarchs to live in our own country. That's what the debt ceiling means. Quantitative easing is just, hey, we'll buy your debt. Keep these zombie companies going. Well, it keeps full unemployment. But then when inflation goes up, because these same companies are just rolling up their profit margins for no reason, because they have monopoly and monopoly power. Well, sucks to be a worker. Sucks to be the average American, which is the same shit we then export to these other countries who don't have as large of a base and strong institutions, and it leads to things, or it leads to situation in like Venezuela and other countries, and this is why they hate us. There's a love hate, but right now we've been exporting so much hate, and we're not even we've all there's nothing left, so we're exporting the hate onto ourselves. Put me in prison or get out of my fucking way. Since, because then, because this all begins about the equal opportunity complaint, the illegal cover up done by McRaven and Stradvitas, directed through Kellis. So you need to put them in prison as well. And this illegal assassination operation, since it's not, you're going to say it's a training exercise if you're saying it's on CONUS or in CONUS, or that's the only one you would have, and even then it's not, because you cannot execute an American citizen in CONUS. And if you're going to try to say, well, you could say all your excuses. I'm done. This guy, two doors down, he needs to leave. And, McRaven says he ain't going anywhere. I'll help him. And I'll help you. But not as an American, since you're trying to kill me as an American. What you're doing with the with the Democrats to get them to not hold Trump to an account, so that way, because you both know, and your handlers with BlackRock, Disney's making all this money. They're not, that's my rights to my publicity. I still own it. As I said, if you try to play it not in the United States, I own it in the rest of the world. Oops. Gotta love that globalization. And you're wondering, yes, McRaven, yeah, I'm thinking that. I know who I am, and I know what Her Majesty did. And I know what that means. Even if the rest of the British The rest of the Great Britain and the Commonwealth do not. It is not as ceremonial as many wish to think. Now, the whole thing you will try to do is try to move the goalpost again. As I said, you try to say, "Well, see, there's a Roy you could take out." Try to get all the black folks looking in the wrong direction, like you always do. You destroyed their neighborhoods. Just take the men out of their for being able to. It basically just recreated the fucking South, all the way back to those pens where you had men just, breeding pens and things like that, treating black people or persons of melanation like animals. I represent the hopes of 2.5 billion people. Jay-Z is too busy thinking about only himself and only his greed. And then he'll come in, then you're trying to set him up to be their king. Right? That's what you're trying to do. His super ego is thinking he can't deal with it. Him and Don, and Mick Madison of the Young Tycoons. Well, that's not going to happen. You see, Don, Mick, you wanted to play. I told you this was the Game of Thrones. I told you this is the great game. In the great game, you win or you die. The great game is terrifying. You don't act terrified. You think you can just play down. Well, you ain't see shit. Blah, 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 blah. Fuck you. Jay-Z sold out the gangs or he would have never be where he was at. He was an informant from the very beginning. So he can talk all the shit about gangbanging all he wants. He's a pet. He's being played, and he's playing everybody else, and that's what's going on. And no matter how the white man tries to spin it, they now know it. That he is there to repress them. The whole goal was to steal my rights to publicity, my systems of how I was planning on just going snowboarding, left the fuck alone. They have made sure I can't talk to friends, can't talk to businesses. That means this is a psychological prison and a legal one. So present the warrant, send me to jail, or get the fuck out of my way. Leader Schumer has already shown that, and the leaders Pelosi, they're all pissed off. I do not care. I am not here for your work. I am not here for your business. I am here only to protect and defend the Constitution that you seem to be willing to throw under the bus for fucking politics. The Constitution and the Magna Carta are done by precedent, and that precedent has been broken. We need to find out which one of these oligarchs, global oligarchs, wish to overthrow the crown, destroy the precedent, and then overthrow the Constitution. And you're standing in my way. The reason you lost Georgia, Stacey Abrams, don't put that crap on on Killer Mike. You were listening to Tiffany Cox, Jay-Z, McMad, and Don Rose. Not the master of branding, Me, who got Obama, whose processes and systems and ideas got Obama elected twice and Biden elected once. And then gave you the win in places you actually did listen to what I said. Yo, niggerism got ya fucked. Senator Warnock, pardon the language, sir, did listen, did see that, you know what, not everyone is a bigot. You can help your people by helping other people as well. Because the thing that these, quote, non-bigots, just basically racist people, are worried about is, yeah, they treated black folks like crap, and they know it. They know they got a way better shake at things. And they're terrified you're going to do to them what they did to you. Just as, Killmonger is talking about handling business, are you going to be noble or just evil? See, the old Mark was nobility, and being noble was kind of left out. Nobility sees the greater than the future, greater than what is this present. And you're saying, well, nobility's about to get played. Not if nobility is wise. Because it was smart, actually. Just as Namor believes that he was thinking he would play them. Sometimes your enemy is your friend, but you also must make sure you know how to destroy your enemy as your friend, if necessary. So no, I don't view black Americans as my friend. They're just useful. Because Jay-Z, McMahon, and Don will not take the responsibility for the deaths of 2 billion people or more if President Biden and Xi can't get this figured out. Because Xi, unfortunately, by having to be the supreme leader for the rest of his life, he's going to have to keep consuming. It is the pathology. Keeps consuming or die. It's funny. He's trying to avoid death by being the top dog, but in doing so, he's pretty much will either have to transfer death to others or eventually be death to himself. Irony of humanity, isn't it? So Jay-Z, McMahon, Don Rose, Kardashians, and whomever else has used my name for profit, except for Rocco. He's earned it. And he's not doing big things. He's not trying to completely think he's manipulating, maneuvering me. If he does start that, then we'll change that. I'll change that. But for the moment. And he earned it as a SEAL for his work with the country, for the country. You are to cease and desist using my name, and you are to hand over all the capital that you've made off of my name. Don, I stated in that email, in agency means you are my agent. You do as I ask of you, not somebody else. Now, I know Hollywood will talk about agencies when they're really actually brokerages, and that the actor is an agent. Dude doesn't have an agent; he has a broker. I don't work that way, and you have no power or rights over the crown of Great Britain and the Commonwealth. And if those countries believe that black Americans are going to be better because, oh, they're black, no, they're actually going to be worse. They're absolutely horrible. They've been so depressed in psychology. They're absolutely horrible. In general, not in particular. And that's what we're trying to change. That's why they psychically killed Kevin Samuels. The energy around that time, because what they were doing is, reading. They were, as I was going through going through the great works of philosophy, they kept putting. They would do just like they would do the opposite, and they were putting so much psychic pressure. And I even remembered it was it was like, whoa, it was a lot to deal with. Kennedy was doing that. It's another person who's a little too cozy, too comfortable. She's just a citizen. She's a threat to the crown. She's also one trying to overthrow the crown and the Constitution. So Jay-Z, the Democrats are trying to play fuck games. Trying, well, we can just wait until next year or whatever and keep working for our overlords and then tell the American people, well, we gave you little scraps. No, that's not how it's going to work. You don't get to overthrow the Constitution and think things are just going to be the same. So that way everything falls to crap in another 5 to 10 years, and then you have another problem, and you go, oh, we can use this problem get more power. Nope. That ain't how it's going to work. That 8-step process will be fulfilled. You see, Jay-Z, I know who I am. And I know what that means. General Milley, Secretary Austin, if this individual here that's 2 over keeps entering my place, I will direct MI6 and MI5 to remove him from existence, since this is not a training exercise and he's not active duty. That means he's a mercenary. That means also McRaven and Stavridis are acting as mercenaries, to whom I do not know, I do not care, but they are directly trying to assassinate a member of the crown, a member of the British royal family. And they are interfering with his personal business against his American rights as an American citizen, rights to publicity, rights to free association, and rights to speech, which are the First Amendment of the Constitution. And if you try to play, well, what you said online, well, I look at my analytics and nobody watched those videos, so that means you have been watching me for a heck of a lot longer. And that you've been doing so illegally. Present the warrant. And even if you do, it does not matter for what I am about to put into play. It does not matter even if I am in jail. My command will be followed. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. The former president has decided that he will defy the January 6th Commission. He has placed, of all things, a lawsuit saying that Congress has no right, as a co-equal branch of government, to call a president to sit before them. He is assuming you will only do a contempt of Congress and run it out. And I assume from the words you and Leader Schumer have said, that is what you will do. You will show lack of spine and cowardice. And we've seen what happens if you continue to let his flying monkeys do as they wish. All the talk in the world will do nothing. You will not be safer. You will set your people up for even more heartache and bloodshed. You do not stop a bully by words alone. The bully needs to know if they step forth, you'll speak softly and carry a big stick. They view you as not willing to carry and or use that stick if necessary. So we will help you. MI5, MI6, Lord Commanders of Great Britain and the Commonwealth militaries. As Her late Majesty's Queen Elizabeth II, Defender of the Realm, champion, as His Royal Highness Ebaton Kirkpatrick Jackson, if Mr. Jay-Z, Donald Rose, and Mick Madison do not successfully uphold the Constitution by putting a backbone up the backs of Madam Speaker and Leader Schumer, you will remove them from this existence by my command. If I die, they are to be removed, as well as Admiral Stavridis and Admiral McRaven, retired United States military. If World War III begins, Miss Kathleen Kennedy, Rupert and Lackham Murdoch, Betsy DeVos and the DeVosses, Eric Prince, and the head of the Mercer family will be removed from this planet. And Jay-Z, if you believe these are just words, I think Tiffany Cross has a statement, fuck around and find out. Yeah, fuck around and find out. $10, 12 people for 2 billion. I'm good with those numbers. 3 for 300 million. I'm good with those numbers. Also, Lord Commanders, if the former President Donald J. Trump leaves the continental United States, he is to be immediately arrested for conspiracy to overthrow the crown of the Great Britain and the Commonwealth. For the persons who created this mess, he still is beholden to. So you see, Jay-Z, there is only one way out. If it costs you hundreds of millions of dollars to save this country, I don't give a shit. You will turn out onto the streets. You will demand that Congress uses its power of inherent contempt. And you will pass the Build Back Better Act, Biden's agenda, $7 trillion per 10 years. You will grow a fucking backbone. Because being hard is on the outside, being backbone is on the inside. You can be hard all you want. It just means you're a slug. On the inside. History is called. It has asked you to save America, and all you cared about was your own fucking pockets. None of all this bullshit about saying, oh, you look at this, who just nigga think he is, and all that uppity blah blah blah, house filled nigger, whatever. I don't give a goddamn about your stupid bullshit. History is called for you to save the Constitution, and you ran like a little bitch. So let me help you with your thinking. McRaven and Stavridis will cease and desist from interfering with my life. You will stay the fuck away from me. You can watch from a distance. I don't care. But my privacy returns to me. And Val Demings, I am severely disappointed in you. I figured you had a little bit more backbone than that, trying to play me. Do I think you will not do it? Oh, of course you won't, Jay-Z. You're going to sit there and show that you tough and you in control. Okay. You'll live for the moment, but you will not live a natural born life. Because true power is discreet. And you will sit, and your kids, Don's kids, and Mick's kids, they will look at their mother and they'll ask, well, what happened to our father? And they'll come up with all excuses, but they will find one day this truth. And they will know that their fathers were cowards and traitors. When they could have been heroes and patriots. Chairman Milley, and Secretary of Defense Austin, this mercenary has 48 hours. And I would suggest you quit listening to McRaven. For he soon will be a dead man walking if he keeps this up. For they want the overthrow of the Constitution and the crown of Great Britain. And since you will not protect me, As a citizen, I will protect myself. And I will bring to bear the will of 2.5 billion people for a better life. Slava Ukraine. Glory to democracy, and may the flag forever wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave.